I broke my fast of 3 days with first an orange, then a pear, an apple, banana, and 2 liters of beer. All the pressure is just gone. I'm just happy. That's how you relieve pressure.
What I actually mean here is that I set myself a healthy goal and I try to attain it. Pressure in this case is the knowing that I have to do something, work, in order to achieve it. I'm not doing it, so pressure is building up while I'm procrastinating. The more I procrastinate, the more pressure is building up.
I have put a lot of pressure on myself, like so much that I can barely breathe.
Yes, my friend, the longer you wait, the worse it gets. Good observation.
And yeah, next week I have to get back to work. I know that, but today...
Yes, today is an exception. That's what I keep telling myself since 2.5 months. And yeah, it works every time. Makes me feel better about procrastinating. It's a great technique that you can master to get stuck in the same place for forever.
Solution to everything. Beer. Yeah, it isn't, but for today it is. For today, it is my solution to feel better about myself.
What I actually mean is that I sufficiently numbed down my inner voice so I can't hear its nagging anymore. So when procrastinating, my inner voice usually tends to remind me that I shouldn't feel too happy about myself because I'm not doing what I know would be the right thing to do. In this case, shutting off my inner voice is the most efficient short-term solution to feel happy again.
All the beer went here. So great. I feel so good.
And as you can see, it works like a charm. Now you might ask yourself, is this a sustainable and lasting solution or method to attain happiness? Well, that's an easy question to answer. Of course, it depends. If your goal is to attain everlasting happiness, then no, of course not. It's not a sustainable and lasting solution. On the other hand, if your goal is to be miserable and depressed until you die, then the answer is yes, go for it.
It's good to escape sometimes, but then get back to work. Sometimes you have to escape and then get back to work. That's what I'm going to do.
Now, can you see right there what I'm doing? I'm using a well-known technique called repetition to program my subconscious mind. And by repeatedly telling myself that I'm going to start tomorrow, I'm actually increasing the chance that tomorrow I'm really going to start. And of course, you might say that in all eternity, there was never a moment that the now and tomorrow were overlapping and that I'm actually programming myself to wait for eternity until I get to work. But I think that's a detail. I think that's really picky. What matters is that when now and tomorrow will overlap, I'm going to be so ready. Now look at him. Look at him. How these huge levels of self-confidence with which he is finishing his beer and before fetching himself a new one. He believes with all his being that he is going to start tomorrow. And I think that's a good thing. I think we need to believe. Without believing, there's no achieving. And I think in his case, the next best thing to do would be to find a way to make now and tomorrow overlap. But for now, let's dwell another second in the magic of this image of him taking this last sip of beer. I think you'd agree with me that there's a kind of beauty in seeing somebody setting himself up for failure. So repeat after myself. I'm going to start tomorrow. Now you might want to pause the video and repeat what I just said for at least 10 times before we continue and see what happened the next day. So I just woke up and apparently
I have broken my 3 days fast with 4 liters, 4 bottles beer and 2 bottles of wine. And all I can say is I'm thirsty. Yeah, I don't know, I can't remember, especially the wine. I can't remember that I drank wine. My wife just told me, I can't remember.
Luckily for me, a few days later, I discovered that I was actually recording myself drinking wine on said night. So there was the proof. I was drinking wine, but the question remained of why I couldn't remember doing it. So I watched the footage and suddenly it made all sense. I knew exactly why I couldn't remember that I was drinking wine on said evening. But in order for you to also understand, we have to watch the footage together. So here it is. So, as you can clearly see, apparently if you drink your glass of wine faster than the speed of light, you won't even remember that you were drinking it. Later, I even found a study that would confirm my observations. It's always a good thing if you can find a study that is supporting you in making excuses rather than having to work on your issues. So, I think that's a good thing.
I don't know, can't explain to myself. If I know something is bad, why I come back to it all the time?
In order to fully understand what this poor man is talking about, we need some additional information. What he's trying to achieve is eating healthy. In the fridge behind him, there's a lot of unhealthy food. And he's asking himself, why the hell is he always returning to this kitchen and to this fridge? He went even as far as to leaving his family and the fridge behind by moving to a cave in nature. By doing that, he thought he could leave all temptations behind. Now there's just one tiny problem. He took his mobile phone with him to the cave. And by doing that, in reality, he took the fridge with him to the cave. Because now, all it needs for him to fail is a short moment of weakness and despair, in which he reaches for his mobile phone, calls his wife and asks her to pick him up and visit his family and the fridge. Now the burning question is how much time he will commit the same mistake before he will realize that in order to succeed, he will need to get rid of his mobile phone.
Doesn't make sense. I'm feeling so bad. It's so difficult to stick to my intuition, you know. It's like something inside me is just acting all by itself somehow. It looks like it's not me, but I'm the one that is doing it. I can't explain that to myself. Like, it's very difficult to understand.
It's not as difficult as you might think. It's rather simple. You're the programmer, and the thing that you are observing, acting by itself, is the program you have created. And yeah, changing it while it's running is difficult.
Is this me? It feels like I'm just an observer. But on the other hand, I know I can do things. It's very difficult. It's extremely difficult to do the right thing.
Let's repeat that all together. It's very difficult to do the right thing.
If everything works against you.
Look, my friend, let's assume just for a moment that the whole universe is benevolent and working in your favor. It's actually doing its best that you will succeed. But as long as you keep working against yourself, nothing is going to change.